Hello everyone, Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. I'm knitting a bit of the baby blanket, and I have worked out actually how to knit with this wool, and it's a lot easier when you know what you're doing. When I first started, I couldn't have the wool wrapped around my finger like that because it was just pulling it too tight, but I know now I just keep it slack. I don't hold it tight. I don't hold it like that. I just hold it like that so it runs through my hands without any problem at all. And I did find out when you're knitting with normal knitting, my normal knitting, you knit on the tips of your needles. You know, you have your needles like that. These are quite long points on these ones. You're just knitting on your tips, but you can't do that with this. When you're knitting with this one, you have to push it right through, so it goes way past the tip. Otherwise, the stitches end up too tight on the needle. So if you go straight past that point, it's much better, and you can knit a lot faster, and the stitches come out a better size, easier for when you're putting the needle through. But I have done a little video. It's just me. I brought the screen down like that on my computer. Put it back up again. I brought it down so you can see my hands, and I'm going to show you exactly how I knit without any trouble at all, knitting across this row. And I've added a little bit music to it so it's not boring, because it's about little video about 3.5 minutes long, just showing me actually knitting this, how I manage with it, and you'll be able to see how easy it is. A lot easier than I thought it was. So I'm going to stop this video and I'll add that little bit to the video with a little bit music, so I'm not sitting in silence for those minutes. So there, I thought I was going to have 4 balls of this wool that was just going to lie there and not get used. But you know, you have to experiment with these kind of things if it's something you've never used before, which I did. I set my mind to it and I thought, well, I'm going to. And that was when I discovered about the tips about having to make sure you push the needle all the way through so you got the full size of the stitch and not the tip size. And it's a lot easier to knit with once you work out how to knit with it. So for anyone else that might have had this wool and maybe's not bothered with it, because it is, the first row where you cast on is the most awkward and the first row that you actually knit. But once you get past those 2 rows, it knits up no trouble at all. And I have 4 balls of it. And I added some extra stitches because I thought it wasn't going to be long enough. But it wasn't until after I knit a few more rows and measured it, I found I didn't need those extra stitches, because I normally do my baby blankets. So you spread it out across the thing. I normally do them to measure 30 by 28 inches. I'm trying to find the end of this. But this one actually measures 36 inches. So I have 4 balls. I'll measure when I finish the first ball. I have this much left of the first ball. It's only 100 grams on here, but it seems quite a lot actually. And I'm hoping when I measure it that each ball is going to do 7.5 inches. So that'll bring it out to 30 inches. So the blanket will be 30 by 36. Little bit longer than what I do it, so it'll not be the length won't be that way, there'll be a length that way, because that'll be the 36 that way, and that way will be the 30. But it's a lot easier than I thought. Once I worked out how to knit with it, it's no trouble at all. It's very easy to knit, and I would use it again if I had to. But anyway, enough of that. I was at my bingo last night and I didn't win again. It was my friend. She actually won the domino card. We always take a number, we have a domino card and you can win £50 or £25. Well, my friend won the £50, so we got £25 each to come home with. We never won anything else with that. But we had a bit of a laugh when I went in, because our lovely friend Derek, who always gives us sweets and that, the first thing he said when he seen me was, "Oh, you've been cutting your hair, Sheila?" I was surprised that he even noticed. It's only a little bit off the fringe. I cut it to keep it thicker looking, because its fringe is just disappearing over time. And I'm saying to him, "Look, I cut a little bit off there as well." Well, it wasn't hanging, I had a plait hanging down in the back. You know, it's nice when somebody notices things. And there was this lady came in. We've only ever seen her there once before. And when she came in this first time, it was a number of weeks ago, when she came in the first time, she sat in the ladies' table and the 2 sisters where they normally sit. And, you know, there were daggers looking at her. But it didn't matter that day, because Molly and Anne didn't come in that day, or that night anyway. So we did tell that lady why everybody was looking daggers at her afterwards, like. But she came in last night. That's the first time we've seen her for a number of weeks, but she must have decided to come back. And there was a table. We have the 2 sisters sitting on one side of us, on the table on one side, and there was a table on the other side of us where there was two men sat there. But they haven't been there for a number of weeks. I think one of them stopped coming and the other one moved house. So I think he lives a bit too far away. He kept telling his friends he was going to come, but he hasn't come. So I think it's just a bit too far for him to come now. So there was a free table next to us now, and this lady come in, she said to me, is anybody sitting at that table? But she realised she might be sitting at somebody's table. I says, no, pet. I says, it's free. I says, we don't think anybody uses that table now. So she sat down there anyway, and, you know, we were playing the bingo game, and I don't know how many times myself and my friend Anne, we were waiting for one. I don't know how many times. We never won. But this lady that came in for a second time, she won a line first, and then she won a house, and then she won another house. And my friend was saying to me, look at that, that's only the second time she's come in, and she's won 3 times already. And I said to Anne, you know, well, that's the luck. I says, this could be anybody. I says, she just got the right tickets, that's it. And she says, I know, but it's not fair, 3 times. And says, Anne, remember that time when we won the dominoes? I says, I won the £50 one. I says, and you won the £25 one. I says, and then we won another house later on. I says, and then I won one of the other houses. I says, you won another one, and then I won another one with a large sum. I says, remember that day? I says, we had nearly £400 each to go out that day. I says, remember everybody, all the daggers we were getting, the looks and everything, and the comments. And she's look. So I says, see, it's just luck. Let the lady have the pleasure of winning them thing. She'll probably be back again next week. But that's the way it goes. It's just the luck, whether you happen to get a lucky card. That's all it is. And for all of you who, 1 or 2 have been asking whether my car passed its MOT. Well, if it hadn't passed its MOT, I would have been up to the bingo last night, because there was still 1 day left on the MOT. But it did pass. But it cost me a lot more than I thought. I usually put it in. My car is, well, it is 9 years old now. I got bought at the beginning of March 9 years ago. And when I put it in for the MOT, I usually pay for the MOT and usually just do a small service. And it usually only costs me £139. That's for the MOT and the small service, because I don't go very far. It's probably only used about 3 times a week, the car, and there's lucky if there's a couple of 1,000 miles on it each year. Only this time, when I went to pick it up, and he says, I says, well, how much is that? And £250. I says, how is it £250? And he says, well, you know, your car's been coming in here for the last 6 years. He says, it's 9 years old. He says, you've only had a small service. He says, it needed a full service. He says, we need to check things that we don't do in the small service. I says, well, you never told me it was going to be a big service. And he says, now look, shut up. He says, because I started arguing with him, you know. He says, you needed some spark plugs. He says, I had to replace, I don't know how many he said, well, it was 2 or 3, it says on the form. He says, we had to replace them, and he says something, I forget what he said, it was corroded or something like that. So he says they had to be replaced. So he says, just as well we did a full service this time. And then he's telling me, and he says, your front brakes are worn a little bit, but he says, as you don't do a lot of miles, it'll be all right for now. He says, come back in 6 months, he says, and we'll check them again. I said, oh, it's going to cost me more money in 6 months' time, is it? And he says to me, here's your keys, get lost. Good job they know me in that garage, right? I go to the same garage ever since I've had that car. I bought it from you, and from when, you know, you have to have your MOT from 3 years old, that's where it goes, into that garage. It's handy because it's round the corner from where I live, and I can walk there to pick it up again. I walk home after I leave it and walk home and walk back when I go to pick it up. So, for everyone that wanted to know, yes, it did pass its MOT. Anyway, I'm doing what I can today. I did just a little bit Don't mind if I can find my knitting in this little bag. I've got all my stuff in this little bag here. Stuff that I've been knitting. Put that one down. That's a little cardigan. I haven't done any more of that. I'm going to do a bit more of the tutorial later on. I did get a few done of my own last night. I'm determined to get my own down. I'm not ignoring it like I was before, like I was with this cardigan. So I'm up to about 12 inches. I think I've done another couple of inches since I last shown you on the back. I do like the way the stripes are coming out on this pattern. They're not full stripes all the way across. You see, like you can see it comes so far across and ends there, and it goes into a different colour. And some of them go all the way across, and odd one or two there like that. But those stripes will get deeper as I get further up when I start the shaping and that on it. So that's that one, and I will be having a look through some of my patterns that I've knitted for myself and that, and see if there's any more PDFs I can make for anything I might have wrote the full instructions down for when I knit things for myself, like sweaters. Sometime I just put down like I think one of my sweaters I was doing a basket stitch, and I just put down what I was doing, what size I was doing in basket stitch, because I know what the basket stitch, I don't have to write it down. But I wished I had the foresight when I was doing all these things. I wrote down how many stitches, I cast on and how many I decrease or increase or anything like that. But most of the patterns I know off by heart, so at first I just never wrote down row by row, of the pattern, like the rosebud one. I know that one off by heart, so I've never actually wrote it down row by row on the adult ones. I did on the smaller ones because I started doing the patterns myself for the smaller children's ones. But I'm going to look through all my notes and see if I can find anything I've knitted for myself where I've wrote the full instructions down for, and then I'll maybe make one or two PDFs just for those single sizes for anybody that might want them then. And that is my little bit for today. So thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you all another time. So bye for now.